Yes, good day, historians, grade 10 and 11 learners all over Namibia. If you have not tuned into this channel, My Story, then I believe you are missing out on classical history, you know. So, our history is grade 10 and up to 11, and we are still busy with the League of Nations. Yeah. So we have our objectives there. General objectives is to understand to what extent the League of Nations was a success or a failure. Then your specific objective is to discuss how far the depression made the work of the League more difficult. So that's just what you need to take out of this discussion. You just need to comprehend as to what extent the Great Depression made the works of the League of Nations more difficult. Okay, so let us describe how the depression made the work of the League more difficult. First, let us describe the Great Depression itself. What is the Great Depression? When they ask you, describe the Great Depression, you tell them the Great Depression was the Wall Street crash of 1929. The economic depression which followed worldwide affected the League of Nations negatively. The Wall Street crash, as it was called, resulted in businesses becoming bankrupt, factories closing down, mass unemployment, and suffering all over the world. This was an excuse for aggressors to seize territories from other nations. So you have the Great Depression of the 1930 or the 1929 as it is called, having a negative influence on the work of the League of Nations. The world is hit with an economic depression. People are unemployed. The banks don't have money. All those things. The food becomes more expensive. So for you to maintain your population, now you need to go out there, invade other smaller countries so that you can try at least to maintain your economy. So that's how I might put it. So now let us get deep into this thing. Let us describe how the depression made the work of the League more difficult. Let's just try to understand that. How did the depression make the works of the League of Nations more difficult? Okay, let us hear that statement that is there. They are saying that Germany and France did not trust each other. France and Germany have a history. It goes beyond. It goes way too big for you to comprehend. So France started to protect itself against possible German attacks by building the Maginot Line, which was a huge defense system along the German border. French agreements with the Germans' neighbors were considered less important. The depression was used by dictators as an excuse to come into power in several countries. These dictators started to ruin the peacekeeping dreams of the League. An example of a dictator is Adolf Hitler, who ruled Germany in the 1930s and led this country into the Second World War. Look, they are telling you that aggressive or fascist leaders such as Hitler, Mussolini, the emperor in Japan, all of them, they used this opportunity to seize to take more control of other smaller nations. These smaller nations, of course, they had populations living there. the land was rich in terms of natural resources. So these aggressive nationalists, or these aggressive countries such as Japan, Italy, and Germany, started now invading other smaller countries just in order for them to maintain themselves during the depression. So there you have it. Failures of the League. You see, in the 1930s, the failures of the League is highly attributed to the economic depression that occurred in 1929 up to 1930, going there to 1932-3 there. So why do we say that it's connected? Because they are telling you that when Hitler came into power, he rearmed Germany. You remember that rearming Germany was forbidden by the Treaty of Versailles. This was not unreasonable because the League had failed to persuade other countries to reduce their armaments. Germany, instructed by the Treaty of Versailles, had to disband most of her forces in 1919. In other words, had to limit its army's military activities. In 1932, a World Disarmament Conference took place in Geneva. Again, the members failed to agree on disarmament. In 1933, Hitler simply withdrew Germany from the League. In 1935, Britain made a naval agreement without involving her allies. The League was helpless to avoid the breaking of the terms of the Versailles Treaty. So, in other words, historians, what we are trying to tell you here is that the Great Depression itself, it was used by these aggressive leaders. It was an opportunity for them to take control of weaker territories or weaker countries. Now, why do they want to take control of these weaker countries? Because they are faced with an economic depression. So for them to make up for that loss, they need to invade and then get more resources and then use these resources to try to build their economy. So this is what is happening. So you have three things that is happening in the 1930s. The major failures, the disarmament conference. It is a failure on its own, because you have leaders such as Hitler from Germany walking out of the disarmament conference, and then this is like Hitler saying, now I am going to rearm, and when I'm going to rearm, the other thing that is gonna happen is just a war or a second world war. So this is what is really happening. So all this is attributed to the Great Depression. So I hope that is clear. So we broke down the disarmament conference and how it was connected to the Great Depression. Now we are going to break down the Manchurian crisis and how it was connected to the Great Depression of the 1930s. Look, they are telling you that Japan was also badly affected by the depression. The Japanese were in control of Korea and operated the railway into the northern Chinese province of Manchuria. Japan was weak because of the economic depression and the civil war. Manchuria was rich in iron and coal deposits. In 1931, the Japanese army attacked and took control of Manchuria. China appealed for help to the League. The Japanese representative at the League promised to withdraw Japanese troops from Manchuria. However, it never happened because because before they could act, the Japanese army not only captured Manchuria but attacked the rest of China. Finally, in 1933, the League condemned the Japanese invasion of Manchuria. In the same year, Japan simply left the League and continued to take control of land in China and Southeast Asia, which eventually led to Japan entering the Second World War. The League was powerless and could not do nothing to stop Japan. The statement itself, it's very clear. Look, during the 1930s, Japan is hugely affected by the Great Depression. Now, what is the way forward for Japan? The only way forward for Japan is to invade those weaker provinces or those weaker territories. In other words, it's just for Japan to invade China. So why is Japan invading China? Well, he was hit, or they were hit hard by the economic depression. So they want to make up for the economic depression by invading Manchuria, a province in China, and then also get hold of the coal and the iron deposits, then use this coal and iron deposits for their economic benefits. So this is how the Great Depression is linked to the disarmament conference. This is how the Great Depression is linked to the Manchurian crisis, because all these events are occurring in the 1930s. And when did the Wall Street crash happen or occurred? During the 1930s. So you have all your details here. So we move on to another failure, which was the Abyssinian crisis. So we are still talking about the Great Depression and how it is linked to the effectiveness of the League of Nations. So they are telling you that the effectiveness of the League was tested again by the Italian invasion of Ethiopia in 1934 and 1935. In 1934, Italian troops attacked Ethiopia. Emperor Haile Selassie appealed to the League for help. The League condemned Mussolini's actions and imposed economic sanctions on Italy. Okay, the League, Britain and France, is imposing economic sanctions on Italy. Now, the most important sanctions that were not applied was the sanctions of oil. For example, you need oil for you to, sail from Italy down to Ethiopia. You need oil, and then they also did not close the Suez Canal. Before you enter Ethiopia, there's a Suez Canal. That one was not closed. So the Italy, Mussolini, they could just do whatever is that they wanted. So they are telling you that only collective actions could have stopped Italy and the conquest of the whole of Ethiopia in 1937. All three dictators in Germany, Japan, and Italy used the Depression to come into power. These countries challenged the League to act against them. However, the League was too weak to do anything. It had no power or military forces to stop these countries from doing wrong and secure world peace. I mean, Britain and France, they know if they impose drastic sanctions on Italy is their trading partner. Come on, man. So this whole thing, it's connected. It's you just have to know what happened. If you know the years, the events, then everything becomes clear. Collective actions. How can there be collective action if there's an absence of three superpowers? It's now too late for those people. Even if they join, it's too late, because the world is now hit by the world economic depression. Therefore, everyone is just they just want to invade. They want to take other people's territory. Yeah. So that is end of our lesson. So that is what we do here on My Story. Please subscribe and share.